So today, interestingly enough, is called Help is Near, Ask for It. This is day 19. Oh, and before I start reading it, I'll make that announcement again. You can share this broadcast itself. There is a little share button right underneath the window of this broadcast. And I have shared it many times. We want to expand our, community, make a difference in homeschool, help people grow into the kind of loving, caring, supportive community that homeschooling ought to be for us, for homeschooling parents, for moms, for dads. And so if you can help us get the word out, you're connected to people that I'm not connected to, I would so appreciate it. On Periscope, I always used to say, swipe up, swipe right. That's not how it works on Facebook. So much easier. You just tap the share button and then you share it. Thank you for doing it when you do. I appreciate it. All right, so today is day 19. The title is Help is Near, Ask for It. If mothers could learn to do for themselves what they do for their children when these are overdone, we should have happier households. Let the mother go out to play. That is from our trusted friend, Charlotte Mason. Teach your children to meet your needs just as gladly as you meet theirs. Ask for help. For instance, if your day feels bleak and dreary, you can ask your children to make you a centerpiece of wildflowers and then send them out to find the bark, moss, and periwinkle. If you are beleaguered, you know that tea cures all. Ask a child to put on the kettle. Ask your children to set a beautiful table for lunch using the special placemats. Ask an older child to set the timer and then lead a 5-minute spruce up of the living room to loud music. You can ask your kids to toss a frisbee with you in the fresh air. You can all make sock balls that you toss into a clean waste can at the end of laundry folding to score points. Ask your children to lay a washcloth across your forehead when you have a headache and to add a little lavender oil. Ask them to use Pledge and the dusting cloth to wipe down all the dusty wooden surfaces. Kids love this. Asking for help is different than assigning chores. Drop the assignments and demands and lectures about responsibility and literally ask for help. You might frame it like this. Wow, I'm exhausted today and a little overwhelmed. You know what would help me? Then say it. Children love to make you happy, and helping you is the chief way they can. When you are overdone, get help, or go play, or do both. Charlotte Mason says so, and so do I. Quote of the day. Love the idea of asking children to give back. What a great lesson for them as they move forward. That was given to us from a website, a Facebook page called Loving with Purpose. Sustaining thought. Trade assigning chores for asking for help. Discover the pleasure of receiving from your children who are eager to show you love. So sometimes in our anxiety to raise children of character, we forget that the family is not about creating these structures as much as it is about pitching in. And what we can do that actually shapes our children's character is model what it means to have needs and to have them met reasonably with loving relationship as opposed to dutiful requirement. And this is an important part of creating a family culture that will make you feel good about your home. We want to start from the place of why we had these kids to begin with. So I don't know about you, but I did not have 5 kids so that I would have 5 people I could assign chores to keep my house clean. That wasn't my goal. My goal when I had children was to enjoy them. It was to have the kinds of connections that family, blood family give you. And my wish was for those connections to last a lifetime. But in the meantime, We have to make dinner. We have to wash clothes. We have to dust the house. We have some schoolwork that we want to do. We have appointments to get to. And occasionally, as the supreme ruler over the schedule of the family, I get overwhelmed, or I realize I can't do it all, or I discover that somebody is underfoot and that child needs a task. We have this joke about the guy that I date. I've been going out with the same man for the last 5 years, and he is this fabulously service-oriented person. Like, does my dishes without me ever asking. Like, is that not the best boyfriend ever? Always helps me with yard work, cleaning up, all that kind of stuff. But occasionally when I'm truly overwhelmed, he doesn't always know what I need because he's not living inside of me. And I realize if I give him a task, he has purpose. He knows how to help me feel better about my life. And you know what? That's how your kids are. Your kids want a task. They want to be the ones who pitch in, who help you feel successful, who are interested in you looking at them with love. It comes across so differently when you admit you need help, when you say, oh my gosh, this house is totally overwhelming me right now. I can't even make a straight line from the front door to the living room. There is so much clutter. And I don't know what to do about it. Who's got a great idea? Who can help me with this? That's very different than, oh my gosh, are you going to leave your shoes in the hall again? I can't even make a straight line from the front door to the living room. Get over here. I need these picked up stat. Like, which one do you want in your life? Which one? Now, we've all done the second one, because when you are comfortable in your home, you let your irritation and anger fly in a way that you don't when you're around your friends or when you're outside in the real big world. But when you're home, you tend to let it all show. So what I want to do is help you redirect what's showing, right? Go backwards, inside, and be vulnerable. Instead of being big, be vulnerable. Instead of being angry, be honest about your need and invite people in. Also, I get tired of being assigned chores that just feel tedious and repetitive. I remember a really good friend of mine, Becky, used to say, by the time I die, I don't want to just be known for having successfully laundered thousands of loads of laundry. Right? Right? You have meaningful work and chores. You have things that bring you pleasure and your responsibilities. So if you need help in the responsibility department, think about ways to lighten it. You know, setting the table and making it beautiful before dinner is different than someone needs to set the table. Having somebody turn laundry folding into a game is different than fold the laundry. And you're creative. I know you can think about it. Yeah, Kathleen says, we also don't want to be known for only having cleaning and cooking as our favorite hobbies. Unless, of course, cooking really is one. In which case, celebrate that. Get every child a potato peeler. Get every child a station so they can participate. One of my favorite homeschool mentors, Dottie Christensen, is famous for involving everyone in all of her cooking projects. The kitchen was a huge mess by the end, the food was delicious, and we all wanted to get to play in her kitchen. That was also true of my best friend's mother when I was growing up. In high school, we would show up in her house, everyone had a job, music was playing, she was laughing and talking, and we had a great time making food. That's totally different than the responsibility, the duty, the obligation. I also like that Charlotte Mason says, when children are overdone, we send them out to play, or we ask them to play. You can do that for you as well. When you're overdone, don't turn to working harder. Turn to self-care. We talked about this yesterday. Give yourself a chance to restore, to recover. Go play solitaire on your phone for a few minutes. Yeah, that's okay. You can do that. Give yourself a chance to re-up the energy. If you need a moment, take it. That's a good model for your children. And yeah, I know you're thinking, yeah, but they're always playing. They're not always playing. Do you realize that sometimes when they're on Minecraft and they're getting frustrated, they need a play break? That's work for them. That's work for them. They're building all the dominoes to get them to fall over, and they keep knocking them over too soon, and they're overdone. Time to play. That's not play for them. That's every bit as serious as you keeping that kitchen structured and orderly. Overdone is overdone, whatever that is, for them, for you. Now, you can't tell a child who is busy doing something that you've always called play to go play, because now they'll feel confused. So here's what you say to a kid who is suddenly overwhelmed. She is unsuccessfully completing the puzzle, can't keep the dominoes all upright before the time comes when they get knocked over, is having an impossible time of beating that level on the Wii or on the computer. When you see that going on and you see the meltdown is imminent, this is what you do. You say, wow, I feel the meltdown coming. This is serious business you're engaged in. Let's take 2 minutes, have a snack, and then you can go back at it with renewed energy. That's what you do. You pull them away to send them back. You don't pull them away to punish them for having a meltdown. Do you see the difference? You pull them away and you say, quick, over here for a card game. We're going to get your brain moving again, and then you can go back and you'll be ready. And then I want to see how you XYZ. Get the dominoes to stand. Beat the level. Complete the puzzle. Like that. Start taking it seriously when you see these meltdowns, and don't go racing off to find articles that say the child's brain is being destroyed because they're playing a game. Goodness, if people watched me around housekeeping, they would do a study that says housekeeping destroys the emotional well-being of adult women based on my experience of watching Julie's meltdowns. Right? Wouldn't they say that? They'd say, take her away from housekeeping. It's scrambling her brain. It's ruining her forever because she ends up in a meltdown. I'm not a scientist. Not going to talk about the neurochemical. Like, if you put all that stuff in the comments, that's fine. And there are links to those articles. Please don't post them here. You can do your own research and make your own decisions about your kids. But what I'm trying to get across is this. Sometimes what you are witnessing in a child, when they are engaged in what you consider play, they are actually engaged in hard work for them. And they are having the same kind of meltdown that you have when you're overwhelmed by your space, by your circumstances, by the emotional content of a relationship you're in. And when the meltdown is on, when you are overdone, whether it's because you have adult grown-up responsibilities or you're 9 years old and you cannot get the drawing you're working on to look the way you thought it should, the reaction is the same. You go through this experience of being undone, overwhelmed. What a child and an adult need at that point is a break, a way to regroup, so they can be returned to what they were doing with fresh energy and optimism. That's the goal. So when you need help, ask for it. Admit your overwhelm so that when you see them feeling overwhelmed, you can name it. Wow, it looks like you're overwhelmed right now. Not, that's it. Every time you play this game, you wind up melted down. You are not playing anymore. We're trying to teach self-management, self-awareness, the ability to ask for help. Can your child ask you for help when they're stuck at a level? Do they have someone they can turn to? Can they say, Mom, I'm freaking out. Would you make me a sandwich? I am losing right now. I want to win. I don't know what to do. Can your kids say that to you? Well, where are they going to learn it? Where are they going to learn it? They're going to learn it from you because you're going to say it now, right? You're going to say, it is the end of the day. I am so exhausted, and it looks like 15 million people ate food in my house today. I cannot face these dishes. And then you're going to look at that 17-year-old who's going to stay up half the night gaming, and you're going to say, sweetheart, I need help. And that 17-year-old, if he's grown up with a mom who's given him help, is very likely to say, you get to bed. I'll wash those dishes for you. They'll be done in the morning. I had a son like that. I did. I had 5 kids. Out of 5, I had 1 who did that. It's not to say the others weren't helpful. They were helpful in their own ways. But Liam knew that he was always going to be up later than me. And he had energy. And he knew that he sometimes needed a break from the intensity of what he was doing. So he'd come over and do my dishes. Ask for help. For me, that was a revolutionary idea. And sometimes the most helpful thing you can do is leave the scene of the crime. Leave the scene of frustration, get outside, get some fresh air, even if it's freezing cold out, even if it's raining, maybe especially if it's freezing cold out, maybe especially if it's raining. Get outside, reboot, breathe, and smile at your kids. Laugh about the mess, redo the energy, go at it in the opposite spirit of what is currently there. I'm so glad this can help. Yeah, so let's recap. Help is near, ask for it. When your kids are overdone, we send them out to play. That's what Charlotte says. So let the mother do the same. Go out to play. And when you need that help, ask for it. Go out and ask for it. Allow them to brighten your life. Oh, sweetie, I'm so tired after that read aloud. Can you grab me a blanket? I'm going to take a little 15-minute cat nap. You guys just play quietly. Like that. That's help. Not all help has to be an official duty. Some of it is teaching your children how to care for each other by giving them the chance to care for you. They love to care for you, especially very little kids. Kids who are 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, give them ways to help you. Oh my goodness, they love it. Ask them to reorganize your, pots and pans. They'll do an awful job and they will love it. And every time you reach for something and don't know where it is, you can just be so delighted that your child thinks completely differently than you do. Let go a little bit. There's no police out there telling you exactly how your house should be, how your children should behave, how you should live. It's yours. You get to make it up. This is your opportunity to create the life you want. Do you want it to be lectures about duty? I didn't. That's just not a happy way to live. And it never worked on me. So maybe it worked on you, but that's just not working for me. I'm going to say one last thing and then I got to go because I got to get ready to run. My mom and dad are 2 of the neatest people in my life. And they both are divorced and they married 2 more really neat people. These are people who know how to organize. They know how to keep a house neat. They also hired people occasionally to help them. I will admit that. They had, someone come in, like a cleaning lady, once a month, or when I was a child, once a week. So they had some help. But even so, I didn't ever grow up with a junk drawer. Know what I'm saying? There wasn't a junk drawer in the whole house. And my mom is a sanguine person. She's not mean. She doesn't lecture. She doesn't shame. So she would just naturally keep this house clean. Let's remember, we were in school. I couldn't be home messing it up. Homeschool is totally different. But that said, we lived in a very uncluttered space. And every year, my mom would come into my bedroom and we would go through my closet and eliminate all the things that were broken, old, or hadn't been used. And they'd go away to Goodwill. And my mom was not happy if a box, even like Monopoly, had a broken corner. It's like, nope, that's done. We had to teach her to use tape because she was really about it. And I didn't want to get rid of everything. That said, she never policed my bedroom. I wasn't good at putting my clothes away. She taught me how to do everything. She modeled how to do everything. And I am still at 55, well, I'll be 55 in a month. I am still not a neat person by natural organizational principle of personality. I need you to hear this. Training doesn't change temperament. Training trains. And your kids are going to revert to what's natural for them. Do I know how to give things away? Yes. Do I know how to clean a kitchen? Absolutely. Can I successfully launder my own clothing? Yes. Do I know what it feels like to have a non-junk drawer? I do. And I have some. But I am never going to be my parents. And I'm not even in rebellion or reaction against them. I'm just not them. And that's true in your family too. We all think that there is some way to take this human being that came complete and turn them into some version of what I imagine is better for them. If we could drop that agenda and simply recognize that we've got all these, what I call free radicals, right? All the people in your house are free radicals. You can't quite control them. They kind of operate from their own planetary system, right? If we can cooperate, if we can promote collaboration, support, kindness, help, play, rest, self-care, awareness, like, hey, I know that you love the living room to have all your stuff out all the time. That feels like home to you. It doesn't feel like home to me because I can't find a seat on the couch. So what can we do about it? That's totally different than, this room is a disaster, and when you grow up, no one will want to live with you if you don't know how to keep the living room clean. We are going to have a 5-minute drill right now. You have to do it. It must be done by this time. Check off the box. Put it on the chore chart. Those are two different worlds. Pick the one you want to live in. I don't want to live in that world. I don't want to live in that world where pressure and guilting and shaming and blaming and punishment are the way we get what we need done. I don't want to live in that world. I want to live in the world where we admit, I'm overwhelmed, I'm angry, I'm frustrated, I'm sad, I'm hurt, I'm overdone. I need help, I need care, I need a beautiful centerpiece. I need someone to make brownies. I need time out. I need to stop this math lesson. I need to go outside. I need. Not you should. See the diff? Got it? All right, so here's what we're going to do today in the comments. You can make any comment you want. I will certainly read them, and I would love to hear your feedback. You can make comments right now, right after watching this. But here's what I really want. Come back today at the end of your day and tell me one time you asked for help from a child today, and let's tell the freaking truth. What happened? Now, let me tell you what's going to happen a little tiny bit. Some of them aren't going to want to help you because you're going to be using it as a strategy to get help. Do not use it as a strategy. This is not a tactic. It is not manipulation. It is not, aha, Julie was wrong. No, if this is a foreign language in your family, for them to hear you say I need help, you may as well be speaking Portuguese. They aren't going to know what to do with that. They're going to go, huh? Yeah, and they're going to go back to doing what they were doing. So this is what I want you to do. Ask for help and allow any answer, because a genuine cry for help allows for a yes or a no. I'm overwhelmed with these dishes. Does anyone want to help me do them? And some people will say no. Some will say, I could do them later today, but not right now. And you can say at that moment, later would be awesome. Thank you. Do you want me to remind you, or are you fine doing it later? And then walk away. Because when you are asking for help and it's not the thing you've done before, they don't know that language. Now, here's the flip side. So one thing you need to do is ask for help. Tell me how it goes. The other thing you're going to do is offer help and see how that goes. So you're going to notice somebody's frustrated or getting in a struggling situation or unable to get what they want, and you're going to say, hey, do you want some help with that? Do you want me to sit here while you're trying to beat that level? I'm just going to eat my sandwich and watch. Like that. You're going to offer support in some meaningful way. Do you want me to make you lemonade? You look like you need a tall glass of lemonade. Would that help? Like that. So ask for help and offer help. I want to hear one of each. Tell me the truth of how it worked out, and as is true for everything. When you are setting a new pattern in the family, it takes time. It's going to take time to retrain yourself. And if you shout, blow it, get angry, feel frustrated today, go belly up, apologize, and reboot the day. Okay? Because every one of us has to reboot. My 6-year-old gives me a hard time anytime I ask for help from him. I'm so sick of hearing, oh my gosh. Yes, but that's because you're not asking for help. You're using help as a code word for what he needs to do. I'm glad you said that. Thank you, because this is really helpful. Here's the difference. Asking for help like this, which is, hey, there are a lot of shoes in the room. Would you please put those away? Is not asking for help. Asking for help is being vulnerable. Asking for help is being vulnerable. Oh my goodness, I'm so glad we didn't hang up because this is very important. So let me explain it a different way so you get it, okay? You don't say, this house is a mess. Who's going to help me clean it up? That's the wrong language. The language is this, and it's not language, it's feelings. And you can only ask for help at the point where you actually need it. It's different than strategy. We are not strategizing to get our kids to do things for us. We are admitting a genuine need, like this. You survey the landscape, you notice you want to go off on people, and you feel anxious and overwhelmed. You say, whoa, you guys, it's time for read aloud, and I'm feeling anxious and overwhelmed looking at this room. Can anyone help me? I'm going to start picking up. And as soon as it's cleaned up, I'll be ready to read. And then you start doing it. It's not they do it for you. You go ahead and start. Start picking up. Start cleaning up. Create the space. Ask for help because it's helpful, not because they owe it to you. And if a child is saying, oh my gosh, it means he's on to you. You're asking for help all the time because he's like a little waiter person that you can get to do things for you. No, you're the adult, right? You've got the skills. If he wasn't born, you could manage your 1-year-old all by yourself. So one of the things that I suggest is the vulnerability piece, okay? So let's say you really do want him to go to the other room to get the diaper for you because you forgot to get the diaper before you took the dirty one off of the baby, right? So you're at the changing table, the baby has no diaper on, you've got a little free radical 6-year-old running around the house. Why can't he just go to the other room and get the diaper? Well, he could, and he would want to help you, but only if it isn't a trick, only if it isn't the standard soundtrack of his life. So what I would recommend is picking up the baby without the diaper, walking into the other room, and as you're going, ask him to come with you. Hey, I'm changing her diaper and I forgot to get it before I went into the room. Come with me, I want to tell you a little story. Let's talk. Have him hang out with you. Have him be with you. Can you keep me company? That's the help you're asking for. Can you keep me company? I forgot to get the diaper in the other room. Would you walk with me? So what are you doing today? What are you building? Can you believe how silly I am? I walk into a room without even getting the diaper. Like that. We're trying to create a different energy. Don't use the language of help as a disguise for commands, okay? Kids are on to you. They'll figure it out. Does this help? Oh, this looks like it's helping. Being vulnerable is hard for you. Oh, I want to talk about that, Melanie. I want to know why. Who wants to put why it's hard to be vulnerable in the comments? I've got a few more minutes. This is a really good one. I might have to hop on at the end of the day. Maybe we'll do that, and we'll talk about how it went at the end of the day. I feel like this is a really important discussion. Do you guys feel like it is too? Because the problem is this. Most of us are looking for tricks. Most of us are looking for tricks. How can we get our kids to do what we want them to do without them knowing we're asking? I think that's what we're doing. I don't want to give you a trick. I think you could even say that. Do you know what vulnerability means? Oh, you might be disappointed. You might be abandoned emotionally. Yes. But is that better than combativeness? I guess I would rather have my child withdraw from me and abandon me than hate me or be angry at me. Personally. Yeah, well, it is easier to get angry. But if you are feeling anger, that's where I want you to be vulnerable. I want you to say, oh my gosh, I'm about to scream. I don't want to scream. I'm about to scream. Do you hear my voice going up? Oh my gosh, help me, quick. Someone hug me. Help me stop screaming. run to the middle of the room, sit down in the middle of the living room and say, oh my gosh, I'm about to scream, someone hug me, help me stop screaming. That's vulnerability, not this weird, gauzy, romanticized kind that's like, oh, I feel so sad that the living room is such a mess. Not that. I'm saying be true to the issue, to the idea, to the feeling that's happening in you right now. Right now, this one. So if you're ready to explode, be like, gah! I can't handle it another minute. I am about to unload on this entire room. Help me. Help me not unload. Please, someone, hold me. Close my mouth. Bring the duct tape. Help me right now. That's what I mean by help, not help as code for chores. Got it? Vulnerable. Give the child a choice in their response. Yes, we don't like that. That's exactly right. When you are vulnerable and you ask for help, someone might not help you, but they have the right to not help you. And you know what? Let me just tell you the truth right now. If you are in the habit of running a household where it is about meeting your needs to have everything peaceful, and you've done it through commands, through guilting, through shaming, through lecturing, through punishment, through spanking, through chore charts, through all of the systems we use to manage people, if that's the current condition of your house, it's going to take a while before everyone understands that things have changed. And that change has to happen in you first. You have to get to the space where you can share who you are with your children, and they know that what's showing up doesn't have an agenda. Okay? So that's what we're talking about today. Help. Ask for it. Ask for it from the place of your emotional life, not guilting or shaming or manipulation. And offer help. Be the mom today who sees frustration rising, names it, and provides love and support. You see a child's frustration rising in their math lesson and you say, whoa, I see your frustration rising. Let's sit back. Let's pull the chair away from the table, back away from the table. Let's shake out our hands. Let's roll around our heads. Let's do some deep breathing, nose to nose. Ready? Now, you tickle me. Now I'm going to tickle you. Okay, let's inch our way back to the math book. All right, let's look at it again. Like that. Provide help. That's help. Do you see the difference? Do you see where we're going here? We're at home. We're at home. This isn't a classroom. There's no big chalkboard. You don't have to turn in any reports to the supervisor. These are your kids. Let's build some space for love, help, healthy acceptance, sharing of feelings, being vulnerable, making huge mistakes and getting back up and fixing them. That's home. All right? I gotta go run. Live honestly. Live honestly. Write bravely. And show up vulnerably today. Okay? Love you all. I'm Julie Bogart from Brave Writer. See you later. And do that posting. I'm going to come back later. We're going to talk about this at the end of the day. Bye. Hello. It's the end of the day. How did everybody do? It's Julie Bogart here. Ooh, trying to get this right every time. Yeah. Okay. Here I am. Hope you're here too. We just spent the day asking for help and offering help. So those of you who took my challenge, this is your opportunity to check in, to tell me, did you ask for help? How did it go? I'm all about the freaking truth, so don't sugarcoat it. If it was awful, if somebody rebelled, if it didn't go the way you imagined, I want to hear about it. Yeah, so you knew you should have listened to it this morning. Your day would have gone better for sure. Well, I understand that. You know, when you are building new practices in your family, it takes a little bit of time to get used to the effects and to implement things. You asked for help, Shelley, deciding which clothes were outgrown and needed donating. It went well. Yay, I love hearing that. Hi, Teresa. Hi, Angela. How did it go for you? I want to hear. And if you can or would like to, please share. I'm going to turn this way, and maybe the light will stay better off of my face. late afternoon, not my best look on Facebook Live. So the concept, the notion that we could ask our kids for help rather than commanding, rather than controlling, rather than simply requiring obedience because, hey, I'm the big grown-up and you're just a little kid. That's what we talked about this morning. While I was running with my running partner, Patrice, and on my way home, I started thinking about this notion of cooperation, habit building, asking for help. Because here's the thing, all of us feel overwhelmed by the chaos that children generate, don't we? On some level. Don't you on some level? You feel like, I had all these children, I looked forward to enjoying them, and then wow, do they create a lot of collateral damage. They mess up their rooms. They don't behave the way we anticipate. They choose what we wouldn't choose for them. And that only increases the longer your kids are living in your house and the older they get. Yay, Trish. I'm glad the West Coast is here. Yippee, yay. Allie, yes. And so what happens is we build this sort of level of resentment that we weren't even planning to have. Like, I wanted to grow up and really enjoy my children and never resent them. I wanted to have magical cooperation and enchanted living every day of our lives together. Didn't you? And yet, that isn't what we get when we bring in human beings, what I call free radicals, right? Like, they're free radicals. You can't contain them. They don't behave the way you anticipate. Vanessa says you should see the living room right now. Exactly. Angela says everyone pitched in to do chores and help one another with math. Angela, write more. We want to know why. What did you do? Is that usual for your family? How did it happen? How did you achieve such magical success? Hello, Bridget. Hello, Lori. Post your thoughts on the notion of helping, asking for help, and offering it. I saw when I was reading through the long discussion thread from this morning's broadcast that some of you had already started posting. One mom offered to help her daughter who was having a hard time with what she was doing. And the daughter, she said to her daughter, it looks like the project you're working on is great and it's going to create a mess. Would you like help cleaning it up when you're done? And the daughter said, yes. Now, I love that. Because what is that communicating? It's saying what you're doing is valuable, but you're going to not like how it turns out at the end because it'll be a mess, and that'll be a hard thing for you to face. I want to be there to help you deal with the mess so you can enjoy making it. And then what does that say to the child? Maybe the child on some unconscious level over time is going to notice you engaged in a project that creates a mess, and maybe then that child will offer to help. One of the most revolutionary suggestions I ever read on a homeschooling list years ago was to have cash in your pocket for your teens when they leave your house. This blew my mind. I had been raised thinking, okay, I got to earn money. You got to make sure that you take responsibility for your own purchases. But what if I reached into my wallet when my teenager is heading out the door with a friend and said, hey, here's $5. Buy yourself something to drink. Or here's $10. Make sure you buy both of you something to drink. What if I do that? What effect does that have on my kids? So I took this on as a challenge. I didn't do it every time. It wasn't about suddenly buying their loyalty or giving them money to get them to like me. It was more like, I have money and it's in my wallet, and I know when I go places, having a little cash is really nice. So I could just generously donate cash. Guess what happened? This is true. This really happened in my family. The next time I went somewhere and I was like pedaling through my wallet and I couldn't find money, my son Liam said, well, I have some cash. And he went and got me a $10 bill. And I said, I'll pay you back. He goes, Mom, you give me money. You can just have it. It's just $10. Now, see, when we think about training these habits, so often we're thinking about what we do to the child, indoctrinating them about responsibility, telling them the value of generosity, when maybe we could just live those things with no strings attached and just allow for the possibility that they'll catch some of it. They're not all going to catch all of it because each child has a different personality. But some of those things are going to become a way of life for them or a way of thinking for them, right? Oh, Bridget says her son does that. That's great. Lori reminded me that I use this catchphrase a lot. Help helps. Help helps. And she wrote it in a longer version. Help because help helps. Exactly. It's not so much that we're talking about enabling. Not talking about enabling. I'm not saying that you should go in and rescue every crisis. I'm saying when you assess a circumstance and you're with a child who would benefit from some support, partnership, inclusion, collaboration, you can help, because that's what human beings do for each other. It creates community. It breeds a sense of interpersonal generosity. And isn't that what we really want our families to be? Don't we really want that for our homes? We're not looking for a machine of efficiency. We're looking for a shared space of graciousness. And that's really why my book is called A Gracious Space. We're not looking to have a tidy, neat, systematic, punctual home. That's a factory. What we're looking for is a place for human beings to thrive, to find their way, to discover a little bit more of who they are and what it's like to be a member with those people we love, creating good for each other, the nourishment and nurturing of home. That's what home is. And if into that space we can bring about the aha moment that leads to learning, well then now we've got it. Now we've got homeschool. Exactly. What else are you guys writing? I see more people joining. Hey, Jen, welcome. Jen Holman is one of our Brave Writer instructors and a fabulous home educator. Hi, Vicki and Heather and Trish. Yes, a shared space of graciousness. Isn't that what you want? Let's just go forward for a moment. Let's get in the time machine that moves us further into the year. You're at Thanksgiving. You're at your high holy day holidays, and you're hanging out with your family. Your original family, not your kids and your husband or wife, but like your parents, your siblings, your cousins, your aunts, your uncles, okay? You're in this extended family space. What do you want that space to feel like for you now as an adult? Do you want it to be punctual? Do you want it to be someone upset that no one's helping? Do you want it to be a place where somebody's a martyr and somebody else is a victim and somebody else is a persecutor? Do you want it to be a space where everyone's quizzed all the time to see how much money they're making, how successful their children are, whether or not they have bought the best house in the neighborhood? Or do you want it to be a celebration of connection and memory, playing a game, being in the now, pitching in, taking turns, honoring and celebrating who each of you has become since the last time you saw each other? Isn't that what you want at the big holidays with the whole family? So bring that vibe into your daily life, because what you do now sets the tone for what will happen then. The habits you are creating in yourself around how you treat your children now, they're not going to magically disappear because you're 50. You're going to behave toward your children in a consistent manner. You set the rails for how they understand you and see you now. Katrin Lotzi says, my 8-year-old daughter told me the other day, "You're my example, Mom. I learn from what you do." Wow, insightful 8-year-old. Insightful 8-year-old. Beautiful. One of the things that my kids have done related to me, which I think is really funny, they came up with a word for when I freak out. So if you are ever that parent who like freaks out, like you can go along, and this is me for sure. Okay, I'm trying to change. The lighting is terrible. So sorry. Let me move this back and see if that helps a little bit. Okay, so anyway, one of the things that happens with me is that sometimes I freak out. I will go a long period of time where I'm pretty tolerant, pretty patient, can deal with the mess, and then something happens. Maybe I've had an argument with my spouse, or I feel pressure about money, or I know I'm going to have a visitor coming over, or It's just been a long time since I've felt comfortable and in control. And when that moment comes, I freak out. I do things like, oh my gosh, I cannot handle this another minute. This house is a mess. There are shoes everywhere. Would you guys please pick up? Does anybody ever do that? Am I the only one? Am I the only one? Am I the only one who freaks out and blows up and tells my kids and starts ordering them around of what to do, and I expect it to happen like this? Okay, so that's what I do. But my kids, they know me to be mostly a patient person, a kind person, a helpful person. That's my general demeanor. They know that about me. So when I go into flip out mode, they came up with a word, and it's called padunkadunk. They say to each other, there goes mom, she's padunkadunking. Now, I did not know about this until I was way out of the age where they would use that language, like they were adults. They call it padunkadunking. And the reason they have that code word is they decided that when I go into that mode, they'll just cooperate, just to give me a moment of peace and to not take it personally. Now, I thought that was brilliant. Brilliant to have a way that they saw I had a need and I was freaking out. They could call it what it was. It's not how mom usually is. This is one of those moments where we just need to clean up the shoes because she's freaking out. And they could create that relationship with me because I was generally a pretty nice mom. I want you to understand that you get to show up as you in your home. It's okay occasionally to not have it all together. In fact, it's okay to not have it all together. What you want to do is show up as you. And I would recognize after a big freak out that I had freaked out. I could go belly up. I could go back in and repair. I could say things like, wow, I'm so sorry. Thank you for pitching in and hopping to right when I'm having a crisis. And then we're good again. You might even let your kids know, you know what? My objective is to be really patient and kind with you. And occasionally, like you, I just flip out for no good reason, like you do when you can't beat that level on that game, or like you do when you haven't had enough to eat and you're tired. And when that happens, I'm so sorry. I will try and catch myself, but it'll happen sometimes. And in those moments, if you can help me out, that'd be awesome. If you can't, I get it. Like, we need to start talking more about our process, about what it's like to live together, about how we react to things, rather than aiming for this impossible standard of perfect obedience, perfect cooperation, perfect relating, always being in control, always having our perfectly under control emotions on display. That's what creates the conditions for abuse. You know why? Because you cannot hit that mark. And because that mark looms larger and larger and larger, now when you go in for the jugular. It's like, I have done everything I know how to do to be perfect, and it's not working. I got to find somebody to blame. It's either going to be you or me. And the externalizers are going to say it's you. And the internalizers are going to say it's me. And one is going to be really angry, the externalizer, and one is going to be really depressed, the internalizer. And those two postures, anger and depression, are bad for children. If you are depressed or angry, help abounds. Go get it. Do something about it. Don't live there. But what I want to say to you is, if you can start to become that self-aware person who is able to express your emotions and needs in a responsible way, you're not holding your children accountable to making you happy. That's not what I'm talking about. It's not, wow, I'm falling apart, you take care of me now. It's, wow, I'm having a rough day. I hope someone will help me because I can't do it alone. That's different. That's different. And then you do the same for them. It's community, it's cooperation, it's 2 people or 5 people or 8 people supporting each other, creating community, finding a way. Does that make sense? I want to look at what you're posting because it's so great. Bridget says, I often say if my kids learn anything from me, it will be to say I'm sorry. That's for sure. Well, yes, and apologizing is important, and we want them to learn to do it too. No groveling, no martyrdom talk. And when you say you're sorry, it's not about being self-defeating. It's just an awareness that you brought something into the space that made it go from connection to disconnection. That's all. It's just pretend you're one of those GPS systems. It's recalculating. It means you're going a different path to get to the same place. Instead of the nice straight GPS path, you made a left to right turn. And suddenly you're not going where you meant to. But if you just trust that you can apologize, it's a recalculation. It'll just take you a little longer. You'll be going around a different way, but you'll still get there, okay? Nadine says, when I finally was honest with my kids that I freak out when my anxiety is ramped up. Now when I have those moments, my son will hug me or my daughter will ask if I want some tea. Isn't that beautiful? That's beautiful. That is community care. Because now when one of your kids freaks out, can't you do the same for them? In fact, Nadine, tell me if this is true, but I think she's the one who told me that they were doing all these poetry tea times and the kids were enjoying the tea part so much. And she, of course, was a tea representative, so had tea abounding in her house. And they asked for tea while they were doing math because tea instantly gave them a feeling of coziness, which helped them approach the intimidation of math. We need to think this way. We need to think about the logistics, the context, how we can enrich a hard experience rather than requirement. Know what I'm saying? Hey, Stephanie, glad you're here for the first time live. Carol, hello. Good to see you. Yay, Vicky, we're glad you're here too. It's fun. I know some of you now. That was you, Nadine. Yay, I'm glad I remembered correctly. Jen says tea and times tables. Beautiful. Listen, this community is amazing. If you are new to Brave Writer or to my Brave Writer Lives, seriously keep coming back because the women who are a part of the Brave Writer community are phenomenal. The way they take things I talk about and apply them transform their lives. And they have so much wisdom to share and impart. We're building this community one person at a time. I used to joke with my staff, pretend this is a phone. Literally, I feel like I have created Brave Writer one conversation at a time. On my phone, in person, through email, through texting, through chat, through conferences, one person at a time. And now, 17 years in, we have so many people who are starting to see the joy and fruit of this collaborative experience called homeschooling. And they have so much wisdom to share, and they are actually in the life of homeschooling right now. I'm done. I'm painting the upstairs. I live alone in this house. But the community is currently homeschooling. One of the things I would highly recommend, follow me on Instagram. Julie Brave Writer is my name. Follow me on Instagram. And then show up in my comments. I would like to follow more of you, and we can start following each other and telling other people and get them into this conversation. Because when we're talking about things like help helps or what to do when we're having a freak out, don't you want to hear from like 10 people, not just me? I do. I get great ideas from people. Yes. Oh, Stephanie, yay! Oh my gosh, I know you. That is incredible. Your photography is amazing. In fact, Stephanie, who is on here, helped us with photography because our photographer's plane didn't get in. And Stephanie, you need to go look at the banner of my YouTube channel because they took one of the pictures you took of me. I believe it's up there and you will get a kick out of it. There are so many great photos from that conference. Thank you so much. Hey, Maggie, you need to remind your husband not to take each other's anger or stress personally, but to instead support each other through stressful moments. I mean this, including the child's meltdown. I want my children to know we are allowed to be overwhelmed and upset. It's a naturally occurring thing. What a beautiful thing to say. And sometimes husbands do have a hard time. Sometimes they do, and here's why. Because they are coming in from the outside. They are out working. They have their own stress and preoccupations. They get home, and suddenly they discover that they are somehow not a part of what's been going on. And so one of the ways they get back in is they're looking for connection. And when a child, in those few hours that the parent has with that child all day, is interrupted by anger and hurt and pain and frustration and overwhelm, he feels ripped off. He was looking forward to having his happy, adorable children, not his miserable, ornery, cranky ones. And that can trigger them. So have a conversation about all that, acknowledging the real feelings of being ripped off when you get limited time with your kids and they don't seem like they're in a good space to be with you. That's a real frustration, and it's a legitimate one. Hey, Brandy, welcome. I'm glad to see you here. When you brought attention to this subject this morning, it was amazing how my intention followed. I saw with such ease where I could make some simple corrections that have made a huge difference in the dynamics here already. Incredible. That's what I want to hear. I love it. Oh, Stephanie, I'm so glad you're here. It's fabulous. Trish, you try to give your hubby a heads up when he's on his drive home if something happened during the day. I think that's brilliant. Send a little text message, maybe even talk to the kids. You know, just how can we be excited for dad coming home, right? Like, what can we do that would be fun and welcoming for dad? You can do that sometimes, not every day, because who can do that every day? But do it once in a while, just like he'll do that for you. Yesterday, Paula says, I was taking notes on the Writer's Jungle webinar, jotted down my son's vivid play-by-play of his video game battle, and my toddler hoisted himself up to the table and wrote joyful scribbles on a page. It all warmed my heart. Such a writing life. Paula, that's amazing. I love it so much. I always like to say that Katrin started writing long before she read. She read when she was almost 10. She started writing at age 4. She just filled pages with scribbles and then letters and then convoluted arrangements of letters and then what looked like cursive, all before she ever read. She was a writer long before she read. And that's totally possible because it's the brain and the hand being hooked up. So she's moving the hand and thinking. She's writing. That is writing. Jen says, my husband works at a grocery co-op and frequently refers to you as my wife's friend Julie to customers. I must talk about you a lot. Okay, that's adorable and super funny. Sarah says, we did it. We helped each other today. Gabriel 5. I asked him how I could help him with putting on his shoes. We often struggle. He looked so surprised at me. I asked Christian, my oldest, to help me by keeping me company while I put groceries away. Not to do the work, but to just be with me. I felt a closeness to him, and I think he did too. That was a great day. Wow! Talk about putting these ideas into practice. Oh, I just got chills. That is so good. The grocery thing really reminded me of a great story. One of my friends, back when I was not even married yet, newly engaged, we were in this engagement class together. Her husband had been an incredible rock climber and hiker. When he was in his 20s, he climbed to the top of Mount Everest, okay? This is a guy who was a serious hiker. While they were engaged, he was up on a ladder, hanging lights in a high school theater, fell off the ladder, paralyzed from the neck down. This guy who was a hiker. And she still went ahead and married him. Everyone advised her not to, but she loved him. She felt guilty, all the confusion you would feel in that moment. They got married. John and I went off, lived in a foreign country, came home and had dinner with them years later. And now they had been married because we all got married right at the same time. And I was asking her how it felt to go from this man who was so incredibly capable to someone she really had to take care of all the time. Like literally, he couldn't take a shower without her help, couldn't use the bathroom without her help. This is the man she chose to marry. And she had to become the full-time breadwinner. And he had been when they were dating. So this was a massive life change. And here's what she said to me. She said, you know, it's hard because I make the dinner and I clean it up. I shop at the grocery store and I put the groceries away. I have to rearrange the furniture. I have to wash the sheets and put them back on the bed. So you know what my husband does for me? He keeps me company. He never leaves when I'm working. If I'm washing dishes, he's in the kitchen in his wheelchair talking to me. If I'm in the family room and I'm putting things away, he's talking to me. If I'm in the bedroom remaking the bed, he's talking to me. He keeps me company. And that makes me feel like it's not a job. Isn't that beautiful? Oh my gosh, I'm getting chills just remembering it, because I just love that you said that, because it brings back this significant memory. Because help helps. This isn't about obligation. This is about sharing the responsibility and the burden of taking care of ourselves and our families. And if people feel included and welcomed and loved and involved, they will pitch in at some point in the actual hands-on ways that you are hoping they will. But it starts with this foundation of mutual regard, doesn't it? Oh, yeah, so beautiful. Such a story. I wish I was still in touch with her. We lost touch, it's been 30 years now. But at the time, I was really moved by it. And she did say that her life was way harder than she had ever envisioned. And they chose not to have children because of it. So it had some costs. But they did have a really beautiful relationship, at least at that point. And I was moved by her story of how her husband helped her. I loved it. What else are you guys telling me here? Bridget says, during our free write today, my 2-year-old scribbled the entire time. I wonder if it counted. Of course it counts. Oh my gosh, count it all. Of course it counts. Conversations count. Scribbling counts. Taking all of the bowls out of the pantry and throwing them across the floor to see them skid and make a lot of noise counts. It's all learning. It all counts. Sarah says, we had Dad home today, so I asked my daughter if she'd like to make a special brunch. She made the pancakes, set the table with the good dishes, and even added fresh flowers. How beautiful. Talk about caretaking. How lovely. Scribbling is writing. Yes, what else do we have going on here? Oh, this is so good. What did Jen say? I didn't see her good idea. Oh, I sometimes ask one of the girls to read out loud to me while I'm washing pots. Now, see, there's another really insightful idea. You've got children who have ways of using their educational skills in a real-world setting. So when we would go to the supermarket, we have this one in Cincinnati called Jungle Gyms. It's massive. It's got foods from all over the world. It's this international place. We love it so much. And we would go in with a list, and somebody would be checking off the list. They'd be telling us where to get what we needed, like one of the kids. And I always asked the kids to pick something unusual that we had never eaten to try. So we had this sort of like mission while we were in the store, and we would pick star fruit, or we would pick dragon fruit, or something we'd never eaten. And then we'd bring it home, and it'd be this little celebration, you'd cut it up, and everybody would like be brave. Do you think you're gonna like it? No. Yes. Maybe. Do you think it's gonna be sweet or sour? Oh, I think it'll be bitter. I bet it's gonna be bland. And then we'd all try it, and then we'd talk about it. Hello, that's school. That's school at home. That's home, right? So make use of these things. You can have your kids calculate. They can be looking at, the prices. Now, don't turn the grocery store trip into an absolute academic experience. You'll all hate each other for it. Pepper these in. Remember how I say in the Enchanted Education, sprinkling pixie dust, not, blasting them with a torch. We want to light a fire. We don't want to scorch the earth, okay? Like, those are the differences. Don't take a good idea and ruin it through overuse or imposition or requirement. Pixie dust, sprinkle, just a little bit here and there. Just a little bit, okay? What else have we got going on here? The idea that it all counts has changed my homeschool. Karen Jansen is amazing. Her kids this month, we did a little challenge in the Homeschool Alliance this last month that challenged kids to write every day. And Karen's kids did it. And the transformation from what they did on day one to the end of this challenge, mind-blowing. She can't stop sending me what her kids have written because she's so impressed. And I am too. So much so, we're getting ready to launch a challenge for all of you in the whole Brave Writer world. Because here's the deal. Kids want to have stuff to do that's exciting and challenging and opens and expands them. Think about playing soccer. If all you ever did was go to practice and there were no games, how much would you want to keep going into soccer? So some of what we want to do is give our kids these enticing opportunities to perform at sort of a burst of energy level And then we take a break and we relax and we don't do any writing and we drink a lot of soda and we hang out and we play games with cards, right? And then we sort of re-up. Okay, now we're going to do that next really cool thing. Kind of like that. Kind of like that. Monica says, story from last night. I asked my husband to come over to try another way to explain addition to our daughter, figuring another perspective might help. He's resistant to homeschooling and avoids doing anything he sees as that's your thing. So while what he tried I knew wasn't working, turning addition into subtraction, and it was hard to not say anything, I held my tongue and let him give his attempt, hoping he would develop a positive experience. I stopped the activity halfway through though, but, oh no, keep going. I want to hear the rest of it, Monica. She's got us on a cliffhanger. Paula says, are there new challenges at the beginning of the month in the Homeschool Alliance? Oh, Karen, it was Karen Jansta. I'm misreading you. I'm so sorry. You guys are too similar in your names, and I am too far away. Thanks, Karen. Thanks for pointing that out. Karen Jansen's also awesome, and I know her too. Paula, we have new challenges every month in the Homeschool Alliance for all different kinds of activities. We do 3 levels of challenge based on whatever that month theme is. So like in August, we were all about the starry sky and telescopes. And we talked all about it, like how to see constellations, how to go find an observatory close to your house, where to visit, what to do. In July, we did outdoor backyard games. And every month it's something different. I think in February we did one-on-one time, and I gave 3 levels of challenge for how you could spend better one-on-one time with your kids. You just ended it by saying that you are happy with that lesson, Monica. Oh, perfect. Yes, because Monica, what I love about what you did with your husband and your child is you gave them an opportunity to forge their own version of a lesson and a relationship. And sometimes that's the hardest thing for us who are home all day, is to just let go of what we think things should look like and be like, and allow for the other spouse to have their own dynamic, their own relationship. So that's fabulous. Wow, we have over 100 comments so far, and I have really enjoyed reading all of them. I want to wind up so we don't spend too much more time. Is there anything else that any of you want to share? What we are doing tonight is a recap from this morning. I was reading from this book, A Gracious Space for Fall, and we talked about asking for help and offering help. And so today I asked some of you to just go out into your families and think about doing one of each. And I'm curious to know how it went. If you read all the comments, you're going to see a lot of amazing stories. And I'm asking you before we sign off to go ahead and post if you haven't done that yet. How did you ask for help? And how did you offer help? And what did that do in the family dynamic? And when we talked about help, we weren't just talking about a tactic to coerce a child into working or a manipulative trick. We were actually talking about sincere asks that allow for the possibility of a no, and sincere offers that didn't necessarily have to do with anything chore related. And we've seen all kinds of answers in this amazing thread. Everyone have a fantastic weekend. Thanks for popping on, posting your comments, joining us in this endeavor to create gracious spaces in our homes. My name is Julie Bogart. I'm from Brave Writer, and this has been a Brave Writer Facebook Live. Have a great weekend.